Disability Research Project. What is a quadriplegic? A quadriplegic means that a person is paralyzed in all four limbs and they cannot move their arms or their legs. The term quad means four, and the term plegia stands for the inability to move. When a person is a quadriplegic, they are paralyzed from the neck down. A quadriplegic falls under the category of a physical disability and orthopedic impairment according to IDEA. An orthopedic impairment means a severe orthopedic impairment that adversely affects a child's educational performance. The term includes impairments caused by congenital anomaly, impairments caused by disease, and impairments from other causes. Some of the effects of being a quadriplegic include trouble breathing, and they may need a ventilator to assist them with breathing because they have trouble doing it on their own. They have no ability to move any part below their neck, and a person, depending on the severity, may not even be able to move their neck. Therefore, they have to learn how to use a wheelchair and move around and get around in their wheelchair. Also, they may have little control over their hand movements, and they have no independence to make their own movements. There are numerous challenges that a person faces when they are quadriplegic. For starters, they lose any control of their bladder and bowel movements, and their caregiver has to routinely make sure they are going to the bathroom and making bowel movements. Respiratory problems, they may need a ventilator to help them breathe. Getting dressed and getting in and out of bed are two daily activities that are very challenging for those who are quadriplegic. Also, another challenge may be finding a new hobby or passion since their old ones may have been taken away from them. Another challenge may be finding ways to deal with their emotions, such as anger, frustration, or depression. Some of the strengths of a person who is a quadriplegic include they can still live their life, receive an education, have a career, and socialize with their peers and friends. As a quadriplegic, they do not necessarily lose any cognitive level of functioning, and therefore, they still have the ability to process information and learn, and with the right rehabilitation, they can keep up in the general education classroom. They also still have a source of freedom, and once they learn how to use their wheelchair, they will feel as if they have their freedom. Other strengths include they find reasons to be happy and still have some of the greatest smiles on their faces, and their personalities are still wonderful. A person who is quadriplegic does not necessarily lose their cognitive functioning level, and therefore they still have the ability to learn, understand, and think like others in the classroom. For instance, in the Brooke Ellison story, One Mother, One Daughter, One Journey, which is the story that I read and did my first person narrative on, the young girl, who was in 7th grade, eventually returns back to the general education classroom and actually excels in all her classes. She winds up attending Harvard University and graduating with outstanding grades and goes on to have a wonderful career. This just goes to show you that her impairment did not affect her and her entire life. She found ways to succeed and ways to make her happy. A person who is a quadriplegic also can still maintain great social skills. However, when they first become quadriplegic or are quadriplegic, they may feel self-conscious and feel like they are always being judged, and this can have an impact on their ability to socialize with their peers and their classmates. However, support from their teachers, caregivers, and parents does help to make them more comfortable around their peers and make sure that they are finding a way to make friends in the classroom. For example, in the Brooke Ellison story, she still had all her friends, and all her friends and her family members supported her throughout her entire life. She didn't feel as if her impairment should stop her from socializing with others in high school and in college. A person who is a quadriplegic may experience many emotions due to their impairment and their inability to move. They may become very frustrated, show extreme amounts of anger, and they may even show signs of depression, abuse alcohol and drugs, and may even have suicidal thoughts or have attempted suicide. These are all emotional impacts a person who is quadriplegic may have. A person who is a quadriplegic does not have any physical movement because they are paralyzed from the neck down. Therefore, using any part of their arms or legs is impossible. However, there are specialized PE teachers and their physical therapists do develop a plan to try and keep them active. A person who is quadriplegic has injured their high cervical nerves, cervical vertebrae 1 through cervical vertebrae 4, are affected. This is in fact the most severe spinal cord injury and involves the following. All four limbs are paralyzed. They may have trouble breathing on their own and in fact use a ventilator to assist them in breathing. Assistance is required for daily activities such as getting dressed, going to the bathroom, and eating, and they require a caretaker 24 hours a day. As a teacher, there are numerous things we can do to support a student who is a quadriplegic. We can allow the student time to leave early in order to get through their next class on time, if needed. We can also extend the time for the student to complete written assignments in class and outside of class. However, it is also important to decrease the amount of written assignments for the student to complete due to the fact that it is painful for their hands. It is important to collaborate with the special education teacher to try and include the student in the general education classroom as much as possible. It is also important to collaborate with all those who are also involved in the student's life, such as physical therapists, occupational therapists, gym teachers, parents, members of the IEP team, etc. As a teacher, it's important to be aware of the student's medical needs and the impact it may have on their learning and attentiveness in class due to the drowsiness the medicine may give them. Having assistive technology available for the student is important to have in the classroom. Allow the student preferential seating in order to accommodate their needs and making sure that they are comfortable in the classroom. Although it is not necessarily a teacher's main job to help students interact socially, they are key in supporting all students, not just those who are impaired, and making sure that students are interacting and socializing with one another. However, a teacher can support the student who is a quadriplegic by assigning them a peer buddy. This peer buddy may help them with homework assignments, may help them get from class to class, carry their bags if necessary, a person who will always be there for this student. As a teacher, you can also keep a close eye on the student to make sure that they are not being bullied, taken advantage of, made fun of, and making sure that the students are interacting with them. Maybe you can also educate all students and parents to help them understand the impairment this student may have, and that it is important we treat that student like we would treat any other student. Also, including the student in all activities makes them feel like as if they are able to do everything and are not being excluded from anything due to their impairment. There are numerous different resources available for a teacher to assist them in helping a person who is a quadriplegic in their classroom. There is a school nurse. The school nurse is a professional who assists with or delivers medical services at school, coordinates health services, designs accommodations for students with special healthcare needs, and provides a special education-related service. A physical therapist is a professional who treats physical disabilities through many non-medical means and works to improve motor skills. They will work on gross motor skills and the functioning of the back, legs, neck, and the torso. An occupational therapist is a professional who works with people to help them with daily activities such as getting dressed or going to the bathroom. They help to rehabilitate and develop a person's fine motor skills. A speech-language therapist is a professional who diagnoses and treats speech or language impairments. They will help the student improve their speech and their language in the classroom. An adapted physical special education teacher are teachers who are trained PE teachers who work with the occupational and physical therapist to lay out an exercise program for the student to complete. Parents and members of the IEP team are also important to keep all informed of what the child needs in the classroom and what is happening outside of the classroom. The story that I read was titled The Brooke Ellison Story, One Mother, One Daughter, One Journey. This story involved a young 7th grade girl who became paralyzed after crossing the street and being struck by the car on her first day of 7th grade. She went through months of rehabilitation and eventually wound up returning back to the classroom. However, her mother, who was also just beginning a new career in a school, had to assist her each and every day in the school and in the general education classroom. She continued to fight and never lost hope in sight of her dreams. As she continued through high school and had excellent grades all throughout high school, she wound up getting accepted to Harvard University, a very credited university. Her mother attended this university with her as well and lived on campus, as this was the only way she was going to be able to attend classes and go about her daily life. After 4 years of both her and her mother attending the university, she graduated and wound up receiving an excellent job in her career field. This story just goes to show you that a quadriplegic can accomplish anything that they set their mind to, and that they cannot lose hope in sight of all their dreams just because they are physically impaired and are unable to move their bodies. They still have their amazing brains and their talents, associated with them.